Well, hello again. It's another late evening, and I thought I'd get a video in before it's bedtime. Couple of mysteries for you tonight. Let me show you the first one. So you might remember that I use old credit cards or hotel keys, and I just put a dab of glue. I don't think you can see that. Can you still see it? It's hardened now. There, you see, there it is. See that? And all I do is you've seen me do this a couple of times, use a bit of wire, and what that allows me to do is get the minimum amount of wire. Well, look, overnight, I didn't clean up after myself. Ta-da! Now, what is that? And if I touch it, it feels just a little bit, there's a texture to it. So, nothing else around. The glue is over there with the lids on. So, can you see it? I think that's better. You see that? There's no spray or anything like that, but around the card, that's appeared. Now, we'll have fun discussing what we think that is. The next thing, before you tell me my workbench is getting messy again, it isn't. I've just been shopping. I got myself some new tweezers. I couldn't find mine anywhere. And you know what I'm going to tell you? The moment I bought a pack of these for couple of dollars, threw them in the workbench, and guess what? They went right in the toolbox beside the old one. Found it. New tube of glue there. And you remember I've been talking about these, as cut them up for fence posts on that security fence. I got some styrene too. I'll tell you what, it was a bit expensive. They wanted $3.49 for some funny bits of plastic. But I'll tell you what I've got in mind. There are very few trees on this layout. There's one over there. There's another one here. There's a story behind this one. It's there because there was a hole in the top of this embankment, so I shoved a tree in it. I've got a ruler. And we're just going to measure that tree, and it comes in at about 60 millimeters or something like that. 4 millimeters to the foot. What's that? So 40 would be 10, so that's 15 feet tall. Let me find another tree. Right, there's a bigger tree. Let's measure that one. What's that coming in at? Can we see that? 11 centimeters, so 110 millimeters, 4 millimeters to the foot, math, under 30, so what's that, 27 or 28 feet, the mental math. If I've got it wrong, I'm sorry, but it's not huge. There's another one outside the other pub and the antique shop. About the same size, so 25, 30 feet, that makes some sort of sense. I'm working feet and meters interchangeably here. So under 10 meters, that's the less than the height of that property. That one looks about right. Or does it? So I walked outside our house and I wanted to see how tall the trees were out there. I got a surprise. They're something over 100 feet. Yeah, we really do. They're pines mostly, but a little over 100 feet tall, and none of mine are even half that big. Now, somebody made a comment in the comments about the best trees ever being in a place in London. I think it was 4D Models. I will look it up at one of these days, and eventually I'll put a link in the comments, but not until I've been there. These were 40% discounted because the packet's open and it isn't open. So I bought myself 3 trees today when we were out shopping. There we go, really nice tall tree coming in at same height as the others. Well, what do you know? And I got the tallest ones that they had. These were discounted, but nevertheless. Now, you can't put great tall trees behind the back of a runway, but for now, let me pop this one there. I'll show you what I got in mind. At Canterbury Cricket Ground, I think it was Canterbury, there was a tree inside the boundary. So the boundary line ran behind the tree. Let me move it over that way a bit. There we go. A tree stuck in the middle of nowhere. Now here's one of the other two. And if I balance this one on top of there, look how tall that is. And that's still a scale under 50 feet. So the trees in our yard are twice that. That's too many trees by the cricket ground, but you get the idea. Let me step them back a little bit. There we go, just outside the boundary. We'll come up with where we put trees, but you have to bear in mind that there's a runway right there. So I was busily looking around for the tallest thing on the layout, and I believe it's the chimney pots on top of the crown and anchor. And did you notice the pub's name there is the Crown and Anchor? And this one, of course, is the Anchor Inn. Now, I will say it didn't occur to me when I chose the name for the anchor that we already had a crown and anchor. But it shows you how you have to pay attention to detail. Another tall structure is the chimney on the winding house of the mine. But even that's only a scale 70 feet tall. So what am I on? Well, it just occurred to me that I don't have a radio mast. I don't have a radio station. And with my background in radio, television, and electronics, all that good stuff, and having been a radio operator at sea, we had to have a radio tower. So I'm determined, if I can't find something pre-made, I will make one. Now, I thought, well, the last mast I climbed was just over 100 feet. These, if I put them upright, ooh, they look tall. But they're only a scale 30 meters, what's that, about 90 feet. So these, even at full length, would be a little short. But just to put this into perspective, if one of those houses back there became a radio station, and that's what they were building, and they put up a radio tower that was just 90 feet or 30 meters, that's how tall it would be. Wowza. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to destroy the symmetry of our little village by shoving a 30-meter, 90-foot radio tower. But we're going to have one somewhere, and it has to be a significant height. One of the things with a track-heavy layout is that there aren't very many places for such structures, but we will find somewhere. Where that little shed is would make a lovely base station for a cell tower or a radio mast, but why, logically, would you put a radio mast at the bottom of the hill where there's a tunnel when it really should go at the top of the hill? You can't park a mast here, mate. No, I don't think we really want one up here with the sheep either. But we do have a section over there that needs reworking, don't we? I wonder. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about today. So that's my train of thought for the day. And no, I'm not going to build a radio mast tonight. It's late. I'm just going to play trains for a little while. But if you have any suggestions, I thought about adapting a pylon, but it would look like a pylon had been adapted. And there aren't none of those on the layout either. Just getting a little bit thinking, what do I actually see when I go outside? And that's one of the things. But if you've got suggestions, pop them in the comments and I will read them and will respond. Thanks. Now, a couple of trains to move. Now, the first thing is the Dover luggage train is a little bit in the way and it's a little long, and there are two of those, and I have a funny feeling they both have the same running numbers. Let me check. Well, of course they do. And nobody was ever going to notice, and until now, I would never have noticed. I'm not becoming a rivet counter, am I? No! But I do notice that the mail train has plenty of room in front of it. Do you remember that? And it wouldn't take a lot of imagination to see what that would look like with a fifth car added. Let me hoik that out and have a look. Well, here it comes. And there it goes. I think what I've done is asked it to be on the other line, right side working. And because of where this point is, before the double slip and the crossover, there isn't a way for a train coming out of that tunnel to be right side working. That's part of the problem. There is some good thinking behind that, but I'm going to have to reassess. Now, that's what was supposed to happen the first time. Now, one luggage car, where would it go? Corridor, corridor, corridor. You wouldn't want to break that up. The first car is non-corridor. Let me look at this. Yeah, it could go in between those two or there. It's probably non-prototypical. What I really need to do is get another one of those. I'm just looking at extending the mail train, that's all. There's room for it. And that's a good enough reason, I think. Let's take it for a little spin and see what we think of it. Rather partial to these. A version of that was Churchill's hearse, wasn't it? In the funeral train. This is non-corridor, and I believe the one in the funeral train was corridor. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will tell me. It was a Pullman train, and they painted one of these things up in Pullman colours, as far as I can tell. Well, here it comes. I think possibly, if anything, some of these mail vehicles are a more modern livery. Probably they would be more compatible with BR blue than green. But that's fine, I don't have a blue one. It does look rather splendid, whether or not it's prototypically correct. We won't worry too much about that. Right side running, for those of you who've been on that story. Now the trees outside the church are rather little too. They must have been planted in memorial, so in remembrance of somebody. There's two of them. And they would be, I don't know, about 20 or 30 years old, I suppose, by the size of them. And these ones would be significantly older. They look a bit better than the little mini ones. So there you have it. As I start thinking about being more prototypical with trees, I add a green luggage van to a Royal Mail train that's probably completely out of keeping. I've asked it to come into this platform here and stop. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Ooh, slam the brakes on, don't you? Yeah, it's in. Came in at a lick. It is just about clear here. That's good. I wouldn't want it any further forward than that. So all of the carriages are on the platform with plenty of space. So that train really should have stopped a little further back. I'm going to swing it around and have the front here and see how that lands. So going that way, last carriage is on the end of the platform nicely, and the driver's managed to stop in the right place at the front. So you can see these block sections need a little bit of tweaking. One of the problems I have, of course, is with such a variety of trains, unless you want them all to look exactly the same, you do have to compromise. So here I am with a Class 40 in BR green, pulling the Royal Mail train beside a steam tank locomotive and a Southern Region baggage car. Oh, and a 4-car electrical multiple unit hiding in the background there. How messed up can you get? You wouldn't want it any other way, would you? Seriously, I'm more concerned about the height thing than getting the rolling stop right. I've seen so many weird things in real life, but trees do grow, even if trains get painted funny colours. Hey, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. We're just having a bit of fun. I will eventually decide which era I'm supposed to be running in, and we'll settle down. Until next time, thanks for watching.